Hey, 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 happy Tuesday. Welcome to Angels Don't Lie. This is your host, Jeanne Street, coming to you live from KBJB Radio. And I'm really happy to be here tonight. I've got a lot of great information for you. We're going to be talking about how to rock your own chakras. I'm going to share my wellness tip. And I have a very special guest in the house tonight. I'm actually going to have a conversation face-to-face with somebody, which I'm thrilled with. So let me introduce you real quick. If you guys are ready. Are you ready? I mean, let's go. Let's get this show going.
I'm ready.
This is my... You're ready? All right, Casey. So my guest tonight is the founder and CEO of Career Path and Career Path Mobile. And he's also my brother. And he also has another business, Standard Gravity, which he's going to share a little bit about. So welcome, Rich.
Thanks, Jeannie. Well, glad to be here. This is really exciting. In person, too.
Yeah, right? We get to have a conversation. We're having our tea. We just had this whole getting ready conversation about chakras. I was explaining, some stuff to my brother. He had some great questions. So I think we'll have a full show. If you guys want to call in, we'd love to hear from you. 646-891-5252 is the number. And we will take your calls, questions. If you want to be connected to your loved one, if you want to better understand some guidance that maybe you're needing, and how maybe clearing of the chakras can help you, I'd love to hear from you. So, Casey, what's going on over there?
It's pretty quiet over here. It's been a little quiet. Well, we had, we got a couple shows. We didn't have as much live shows going on this past week like we did the week before, but we did our wine scent show last night, so it's pretty active.
Oh, yeah. How was that?
It's going great. Bruce is very knowledgeable on the wine.
Okay. I bet. That's awesome. What kind of wine did you talk about? That's all you're going to share?
He's been talking more about just how the intimidation factor of the wine. People seem to have a thing about it because it seems complicated, and he's trying to break down that complication. So we haven't really got into flavors yet. We're only into our third episode, so...
I love that. Flavors. Casey's obviously a wine connoisseur.
Yeah.
Not.
The flavors of wine.
The flavors of wine.
Of the raspberry wine, believe me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you can tell him a beer guy.
Where is raspberry wine, though? Yeah.
Well, speaking of spirits, what about your show coming up?
Spirit and Spirit? Yeah, we are really excited about that. I spoke to John Maxwell today from Hunt Hill Farm, and we have some tickets sold already, and he's really pushing. We're hoping to get the place filled, and it's for a great cause because I am donating half of my proceeds back to Hunt Hill Farm, and we also same as John from the Owl up in New Preston. So we want to make this a great event and help Hunt Hill Farm out to offer the community great events and to stay there.
Absolutely. They're doing some wonderful things. Hunt Hill Farm is an art community. They're establishing it as a school more and more. And actually this month, I don't know if you've been watching your social media, but they also launched their Igniting Passions campaign.
Oh, I did. I shared one of their posts.
Did you?
I did.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great. So that's exciting that they're starting to really take off and rebuild a community that was there before, and it's just kind of fizzled out. And John's got a lot of energy and passion for what he's doing.
And you kind of stepped in with your business and kind of offered a little bit of expertise of what you do.
Yeah, I did. John and I connected back, I think, right before Christmas, and he asked me to come up. I have some background in helping do fundraising and also building brands, and speaking Jeannie language. The energy was very low, and John's been trying to lift it up, didn't know how to do it, and so I made some suggestions, and so we've been working together, and the Igniting Passions campaign is one of the things that we've done together. along with kind of some block and tackling things, pulling it together from a fundraising standpoint, building databases, and making sure that everything's aligned so they can reach their success that he wants to see.
Wow, it's a lot of stuff when you're building a brand and working to run a small business.
It sure is.
It really is. So that's kind of what I thought our work aligns in this way, because my brother works you're very passion-driven in what you do. And we were talking earlier about when, how the chakras come into play with this, because our chakras are energy centers, which are located from the base of our spine to the crown of our head. They are our pathways or interconnected, web of how energy moves through our body. And when we're able to move with spirit, with God, we're able to then have that freedom from lower energy being stuck in those centers. So different religions talk about energy centers, chakra centers, and how they function. And I've written about this in my book, and we've talked about it here on the radio show. But my basic connection, and I'll tell you what the angels show me and how we can work through our life. So we start with the root chakra, which is the base of our spine. And this is the first center to get developed, so to speak, because when we're born, we come into this life, and we start out with our family and the people that are surrounding us right away. And so we immediately get that energy on. And so our first steppings, our first grounding into this life of our why we're here begins then. And so if there's trauma or there's emotional connections there, that root can be off in the very beginning. Or if there's a disconnect from source, from God, also can block the pathway for it to freely flow. So then we move up and we do the sacral, the solar plexus, heart, throat chakra, third eye, and crown. Each one has a very specific energy that it works with throughout your body, and meaning energy area in which it works through your body. So say sacral is all female or male organs. So it's also the sexuality and really our confidence, where the core of who we are, we can pull from that sacral chakra and be ignited from that. The solar plexus is a clear knowing. This is a pathway for our intuition and that gut feeling. So when this is open, we really can be working that confidence and standing because we're flowing and we're walking in it in a nice way. We're upright. But when it's closed down, we might feel less than. And so that affects then our throat chakra, and we don't speak our truth. We maybe give our power away, and we start to do that by saying small things like, oh, I don't care, or whatever you want. So we start to lessen our own value and put it more on other people because we're not even connecting with what's good for us. Heart center is all that giving and receiving love equally. And when that's blocked, well, either way, whether we're being over giving, and we all get to that point where we want to help somebody, or want to give, or want to do this, we get depleted. It's going to get to us. We're going to be worn out if we don't get built back up. And where we don't receive love and we block it from coming and we don't give it all, we can be hardened. We can be stuck and kind of cold. A little narcissistic even, that can happen because that affects the root chakra. That affects, we're not drawing up. We're not drawing up passion. We're not drawing up from the core of what we're doing here, and so our heart can't function easily. And then we go to the throat, our ability to clearly speak our truths, to know them, and to speak them with confidence. And when we're not, again, we give our power away. So we start to either speak on somebody else's truth. This happens a lot. People will get lost and they'll start talking crap. Can I swear, Casey? Can I swear you got the owl already?
I have a story about that, but you finish your chakra thing.
So when you don't speak your own truth, you can end up lying, basically. You sometimes lie to yourself.
That's easy to do, isn't it?
Sometimes, right? We tell ourselves the best lies. third eye is our ability to see spirit, to see the messages, to communicate. So when this is open, we're able to be expansive because we don't see ourselves in just the physical. We see ourselves in pure spirit form. So it's not necessarily seeing with our eyes, but it's can be more of a knowing too.
Is that hard to do?
No. To open your third eye. It's not hard to open any of them. It's just actually taking a little time to meditate and to pray and then to invite love in. So you can do it one at a time. And we'll do that later on in the show because it was fun. Right, Casey loves to do those meditations.
I like the meditations.
I know you do.
Second to the nutritional tip. Well, last week we had a little S word, slip out there. And I had noted the time, and then I did the podcast, and I forgot to delete the swear word. Well,
you did?
Yeah, and I always mark the podcast as clean, so I posted it and everything. And then a couple days later, I'm going through the app and different things. I always look to make sure everything's looking good, and it's not up in iTunes. So I'm like, oh my God, what's going on here? Why didn't this post to iTunes? Then it's like the S hit me right in the face. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't take it out.
It as explicit.
Yeah, exactly. So it must have kicked it. The only thing I could think of is that it kicked it back. But I sent an email to Lipson, but then I'm like, I got to take this out. I got to resubmit, and I did that, and boom, it was right up there again. It was published. So it must have detected the S word and kicked it back. So lesson learned there.
You're saying the S word. So if I say a lot of S words in a row, it's going to confuse you?
No, I can. I just have to go back.
It's tough to delete.
Yeah, I just have to go back and do my owl sounds. That's the only thing that's got to happen. So I have been good for 60-some episodes. I just happened to miss that last one. I'm sure that's what it was related to. But you let it fly when you feel like you need it to fly, and I will do my job over here.
You do your job. All right. So I also wanted to tell everybody we have an event coming up on Saturday this week. We have an evening with Spirit, and I have tickets available, and I have a few spots left, but I'd love to fill that room. So if you're interested, you can head over to inspirithealingstudio.com and purchase your tickets right online. I'd love to have you. And I also have a meditation that's on the 19th. That's the Holy Spirit meditation, the one that you liked, Casey. You came to that one.
I did. It was terrific.
Yeah, that's right.
I'd highly recommend it.
Yeah.
It was both me and my wife and I both came, and we chatted about it probably for 3 or 4 days afterwards.
Nice.
It really, became a great topic because it was such a unique and special experience.
See, I like that. That's what I like to hear, the feedback. You don't always hear what people think when they leave. They seem like they're really happy and they hug you and they say this is great, but like afterwards, the effects. Because when you're experiencing that energy, it stays with you. It doesn't go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So similar, Rich, when you work with your chakras, that's what will happen. You'll have that kind of elated feeling. It does change you in some way. You just don't even realize it.
So sometimes I would imagine we do it unknowingly, right? We open up our chakras and we have that great feeling.
Yes.
But being more purpose-driven and understanding them, I guess, now you can do it at will, right?
Exactly. So, tell me. Well, I want you to tell the people a little bit about Career Path and exactly what that is.
Well, Career Path is a software company, but we're also starting to develop content, and our mission is to create a pathway from, let's say, sophomore year in high school for college planning, and also for career planning, and take that student via their mobile device and engage them in a process where we can provide micro learning opportunities and pathways so they can explore where their passion lies and how to get to a career that's meaningful and important to them. It's too often in the statistics show that over 50% of the people out there in the world don't like their jobs. are unhappy in their jobs. It's 54%.
54%.
54%. So how can we improve upon that? And that's what Career Path's mission has been about. And we're working with a bunch of colleges, and we're also going to be working independently, kind of aligning ourselves with high schools and college in a parallel fashion to provide as many students as possible with those opportunities. And we use the mobile device because that's where they are. So we're finding them where they are and then providing them the opportunities to find their passion.
That's really a staggering number, 54%. If you think about, just how much time and effort you put in, and how much of your life you spend in your career.
Absolutely. It's, 60% of your day is working, in some regard. You have to live with it. You have to fall asleep to it. And when you have a hard time putting your head on the pillow because you don't like what you're doing, a lot of times it equates to how much you make in some regards. So statistically, the people who make less money are more unhappy than the people who make a boatload of money. But it's, for all of us kind of in between who might make an okay living, but we're really struggling to find that passion point and what's going to be meaningful. That's an important thing. And, as you know, we both struggled with that at different times too.
Yeah, well, if you're making a boatload of money, you can do your passions on the side. It seems so easy when you're watching somebody who's maybe famous, say like Jim Carrey, who's now painting and using art as his medium of expressing himself. He's able to do that because he had a career, he had a movie career, and probably set himself up in a great way. And so that's amazing. And so now he can touch people with his passion and sharing that gift.
But he probably never would have been as successful if he wasn't passionate about making movies. His passion just changed over time, right? Oprah, you read about her, and really what ignited her success was finding that meaning in what she was doing. But for everyday people, it's hard to do when you have to pay the bills and you have to take care of the kids and you have to do all these other things. And how do you kind of clear your headspace enough to say, okay, I'm gonna try to get myself in alignment and find that thing that's gonna really, get me excited and get me going.
Yeah. Just last week, I was working at the studio, and I just came out of being away, and I was really exhausted when I went away. I shared this with you, and I shared this with the listeners, that I had just wore myself out from doing so much in so many different directions, just like you with your businesses and having all this extension. I have these extended businesses and a lot of ideas and a lot of energy, but then I just did too much. Where was I going with that?
Well, you were exhausted, and maybe now you're still a little tired.
Apparently I'm really tired.
Well, this is where Jeanne and I are very much alike. We're both entrepreneurs. We both have multiple business interests, but we both enjoy helping people.
Yeah. And
that sometimes, while it's good, it also can convolute things because we overextend ourselves.
Yes. So that's what I was saying, because I'm writing, I'm doing two things at once, and I can't do that. So I'm at the studio, and I was working on writing up a new piece, and I said, no, you know what, I need a break. So I took a break, and I started creating my bracelets. I make chakra bracelets, and so I hadn't done that in quite some time, and I had so much fun. It was so relaxing and rewarding because I was praying over the beads as I do them. This is just my thing. I'm talking to the angels. I'm asking God, how about this? And so I'm combining. I'm not doing one chakra anymore. Now I've made them multifaceted, and I put them together, and I was thrilled. And then I used all the wire that I had. So I'm like, now what am I going to do? Because I don't want to go back to the computer. I need to keep creating. I have to. So I got out my paintbrush and my painting stuff, and I started painting. And I'll show you how it started, Rich. It just came out of me, and it felt so good to be able to, and I'm not an artist, but it felt good to be able to just create and be still for a little bit.
Yeah, and I've had those moments where you can't. Wow, look at that. That's, gosh, you you have to see what Jeanne created, but it has so much motion and energy, and passion and power in it.
And slide over so you can see where it evolved to.
Wow.
So I'll share this with you guys on the Angels Don't Lie Facebook group. If you're in the group, I'll post the picture so you can check it out.
That's really cool. Yeah. So
painting.
Yeah, it's definitely got the angels.
It needs a little bit more work, but I've got a plan, and so I'm really excited about that. Let me give a quick shout out to our peeps inside the group and people that kind of were watching my Facebook Live yesterday, and some of our listeners tonight. Big shout out to Joanne Raposa, Karina, Penelope from the UK, Sam, Kathy, Jeanette, Celeste, Megan, Gina, Rachel, Jen, Susan, Leslie, and Kathy. Hello, loves. And I received a request for healing and prayers from May, and May was asking that we send them to her niece, Pauline Green. So let's take just a second here and send Pauline some love and healing, if you don't mind. Thank you. Beautiful. So now tell people about standard gravity, because this is another aspect of who you are, and I think we are all multifaceted.
Oh, she's back already. Are you back?
I'm back already, yes.
I was just getting ready to play Lucky Gambino's Angels Don't Lie, but you got back so fast.
Unbelievable. I just texted you what happened.
There was definitely some angels kind of conspiring against us there.
Yes.
No, we were just talking about standard gravity, and Jeanne was asking, what we were doing, and Standard Gravity is a branding and marketing firm that I started. I've worked in that field for about 24 years. Worked at a number of agencies. I've also worked in higher education and secondary education, which is where career path came from. But where my passions really have laid was with helping other people grow their business and their brand. And so throughout my career, I've had lots of great opportunities to rebrand companies and to work with owners on envisioning where they could go. And at times I've had different stepping off points where I kind of went away from my passion, and at times it was hard to pull back into alignment with what I was best at. And that really is the life lesson, though, because we are here to learn, and it's not supposed to be easy. So we have these challenges built into our life, or tests. I mean, I've been reading The Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren. Yeah. I read it years ago, and I just had to take it out again. So I call them lesson. He writes tests, but our tests they're meant to actually send us and propel us forward, not to hinder and stop us. And sometimes we're stubborn. It takes us a little longer to learn stuff. So that's, as long as we are going forward with it and see the value of what was happening, we can step back and see it, then we're able to move forward. Yeah, absolutely. During my career, I've had companies that failed and some hard times, and every time that I find the opportunity to go into a new direction, I can feel it. There's a moment when it's it feels right, and sometimes it may not be the best thing for my family, or there may not be a clear monetary opportunity there, but I know in my heart when the opportunity is right. And so, it wasn't too long ago that I had a point, kind of a decision point. Do I go into and work for somebody else, or do I continue to work with Standard Gravity and Career Path and make these things, really fly? And as I get involved with different companies, like Hunt Hill Farm, for instance, it just feels right because it's what I do best. Mm-hmm. And when you can see the results, I feel it. I'm energized by it, and I want to continue. And my biggest challenge is just not doing too much of that, kind of focusing in so that the people that I do align with and I can help, I can really help to get to where they need to go as well, and that's what gives me the energy. So it's a little bit of a balancing act.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And I think what we're going to do with the chakras will really help you as well, because now you'll be able to pinpoint, what you were saying, like when you were over giving, your heart was probably depleted, and you probably weren't giving your best.
Yeah.
You're being worn out. And then when we open up that root chakra, and especially the lower root chakra, which is located in the soles of our feet, and we clearly stand in our life and we own it, because God has a purpose for you, and there's a reason you're here. And so that helps you to be stronger and more confident, because if He believes in you, then why shouldn't you?
Yeah.
So when we stand in that, we can really grow, we can blossom, and we're like a tree. We're gonna build those roots, those relationships. We're gonna release the ones that are sucking the life out of us, and we release them. We bow to them and we thank them for their time and energy, because there's a lesson for every relationship that challenges us. But then we keep our energy within, and we can fill back up time and time again. So
it's interesting. This past fall, I lost one of my biggest customers, and for 4 years I had worked with this group and really done some exciting work. They were a nonprofit out of New York City. They helped homeless people. They helped people with addictions, and they gave them purpose. They did a lot of work with women veterans and veterans, and so it's the largest human services agency in New York. So for me, it was really passion-driven work, right? I was doing branding, I was doing fundraising work, but the client was a life sucker. Right. She it was borderline abuse, just kind of every day dealing with her, and these different went into that business that failed, right? It was the wrong business. I worked, and Jeanne will tell you, I worked as hard as anybody can work. It was a 20-hour day gig, and ultimately I failed because it was the wrong business, and I did it for the wrong reasons. I went into it to try to regain the past, and that's not possible, right? And so and what I learned is you've got to look forward, and you've got to look at where your where the passions are, and not try to bring your past with you. You can't look backwards and go forwards.
But it's complicated, right? When we hold on to, and that's a trauma. It's almost like a trauma when we hold on to the past and we say, I coulda, shoulda, woulda, and maybe I can make this happen. And then we let go of God. We go it alone, and we say, I'm going to make it happen.
How do you put that into a box and somehow let it go, Jeanne? Is there a way to kind of encapsulate that angst and say, I'm gonna literally put this in a box and write a note and say, okay, here, I'm gonna leave this up and
those are ceremonial things. Absolutely, you can. Any type of ceremonial release is amazing. I just did a video, and I shared it. It's on YouTube, and I've just put it on Facebook about healing burnout. But it's the same thing, because you can take something that you're holding on to, it's complicated. I say you go to your yoga mat or your sacred space, wherever that is. You give yourself that time, and you stay there, and you stay with the feelings until you see them through, and you write them down. You get them out of you, and you write them down, and then you let them go. Before you get off that mat, before you leave that sacred space, you let it go and give it to God. However that looks for you. So whether that's through prayer, whether you need to put your hands out, whether you need to burn that piece of paper and see it fly up, whether you put it in that box and give it away, you give it to God. And you don't leave that space until you do so. And then when you do, faith, and you walked away. You're done. And it's a clean slate. And then you might have to go back and do it again, because the angels say that we're like an onion, of healing. We're taking a layer by a layer by a layer. So it's a new layer next time. It's not the same as the old. And each time you do it, you'll experience something different. Sometimes it's going to be crying. Sometimes it's going to be anger. But the more you do it, the easier it gets, and the less it affects your well-being.
And so, for younger people who are going through college and trying to find that right thing.
Question.
sometimes hopefully they don't have as many layers to their onion. They don't have as many things to peel away.
Oh yeah, they do.
But
yeah, they do.
That's hard, right? That's hard for young people to do that. And it's funny because I ask this question whenever I get on stage to give a presentation. I open with, how many people out there in the audience went to the Career Center their freshman year? And inevitably, there'll be like one lady in the back raising her hand, and everybody else is looking at her like, "What is she, nuts?" And the same goes for sophomore year. And what happens is the kids become isolated, and they go through these first few years, and they start to try to figure it out. And then by junior, senior year, they're like, "Oh my God, I got to get a job," and then they just are desperate to get something, and so they choose poorly usually, and that's why you see a high rate of turnover in young people in initial jobs.
Or they do what their friends are doing,
or they don't complete school,
or they do what their parents tell them to do.
Right.
So yeah, it's hard to know what your passions are at a young age. Some people seem to just knowingly grow up so connected, and you wonder, like, how did they know? How did they know, and how did it just look so easy? But it always isn't easy, It's nice to look on the outside, but there are things that person has to go through too. Yeah,
I think the ones that get it a little bit quicker are the ones with the older soul who kind of know thyself.
Right.
But it's hard for those who are unsure or trying to discover those things. And colleges don't make it easy. And that's kind of the point of Career Path, is they really suck at career planning.
Yeah.
They throw all this money at admissions, they get you in the door, and then the Career Center will have one person to help advise 5,000 students.
True.
And I met an executive from a Fortune 100 company on Friday. We were talking about career services, and he's the head of education. And he said, career services is the backwater of incompetence of America. That's how he described it. And we said, well, that's why we're trying to fix it. That's why I have a passion for trying to help all these young people. And I figure it's if I can do it through the technology, then it's kind of one to many, and I'm helping a lot of people, but I'm not draining the energy out of myself to kind of bring our conversation back around a little bit.
In your mind, well, first I want to ask you one more question, but I also want you to share before we close off how people can get in touch with you as well if they're interested. So I want to know, in your mind, what are examples of a purpose-driven career?
An example of a purpose-driven career would be, it could be anywhere. Think about the word purpose. Purpose is something that's achieving goals for you, right? It could be a monetary goal. It could be a personal goal. So when you think of purpose, think of what it does achieve for you. And when you think of mission or passion, those are things that you want to that fulfill you in a different way. So we were talking about purpose-driven careers. So if it can be financial. It can be I'm doing something that's for the good of others, and that makes me feel good. But really, purpose-driven is something that's going to mean something to you and get you help you achieve your goals.
It's going to be life-changing in my mind. It's going to change a purpose-driven career is going to be something that's going to elevate you, because you won't even fully understand the depth of what you're doing when you're in it for love, when you're stepping into that role of who you are. The amount of love that you'll create by sharing your gifts with the world will far outweigh everything else.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So tell everybody, Rich, how they can get a hold of you, even for Career Path or Standard Gravity. And one of the things that we didn't share about that you do in Standard Gravity is that you have an art background too, which I think is.
I do, yeah.
I know you don't talk about it much, but you're able to see, like, when you're creating a branding, you're able to even like the look of it. Because you have that palette of the artist, so you can see how that palette will look, like if it's their website or if it's a graphic or if it's their logo. And that's an important when you meet somebody, to be able to see that and put it all together.
Sure, yeah. I actually have my degree in graphic design, and I don't use it very often because I'm not a great designer, but I'm a really good creative director, and
right.
as Jeannie described, kind of visually, I'm able to describe things very quickly. And so I use that skill, and then I bring in designers at the right point to finish off the vision, and that's worked really well for me. But I did take art lessons when I was a kid. I was a little bit of a geek. My sisters still make fun of me because I like to dress up when I was a little kid.
Oh, well, seriously, he came down to dinner with like a bow tie and a jacket. Mommy's kid had it going on, and but he is much older than me, so
yeah. Don't believe Jeannie on that one, but
much older.
I'm easy to get hold of. It's standardgravity.co is my website, and my email is rp@standardgravity.co. Careerpathmobile.com is our technology company, and I'm Rich at careerpathmobile.com. So both pretty easy to get hold of me, and would love to share with anybody out there that is interested in some of the things that I do, or talking about what they might do.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
This is a great conversation. It's a great night. It's good to have somebody sitting across from me and have an actual conversation. So I thank you for joining us.
This was really fun. Thank you.
Yeah, totally fun. Yeah, KJ's writing that went so fast. I know, right? And I was like, some nights it's like there's callers after callers after callers, and I can't get through my own content. And tonight was so nice because we got through all the content, and I could probably keep talking to you. And listen, my dogs are going crazy right now. They apparently want to be on the air too. So that's Max and Lovey, everybody. And so you guys can find me in the Angels Don't Lie group if you want to see the painting. I'm going to share it in there. Come see me at the studio this weekend if you want to come for the Evening with Spirit. It's going to be an awesome night. And what else do I want to tell you? I want to tell you that, well, I know what I know because angels don't lie. So I'll see you next week right here on KBJB Radio. Thanks, Rich.
Thank you, Jeannie. Have a great night.
Have a great night, guys.